Welcome back, everyone, to Global War 1914, Operation Albatross. This is the fall-winter of 1914, and we'll kick it off here with the German Empire. So let's get into our purchases first. And we had, oh my goodness, I don't even remember. I think we had like 40 bucks to spend. I can't even remember. It was quite a bit. So what we're gonna do is we have to account for $1 out of our bank for convoy raiding. That Russian coastal sub in the Gulf of Finland was successful in doing 1 point of damage, so we got to account for that. Other purchases, we're going to upgrade a medium factory to a major factory for $5 in Bavaria. We're going to purchase a minor factory for $5, and that's going to go in the South African Union. We were successful in defeating a British infantry there during a random event. So we were able to take South African Union, a rebellion that happened there. We're going to spend $12 and purchase 2 submarines, $4 and purchase a Jaeger. And this Jaeger here is basically, it's an elite unit that the Germans get. It's a mountain infantry, basically. A much better mountain infantry than your normal mountain infantry. We're going to spend $4 and purchase 2 colonial infantry. And then to round it out, we're going to spend the remaining of our $15 and purchase 5 regular infantry. Okay. Let's go to technology. So just like last turn, we were unsuccessful in wartime economy and defense in depth, and so I think we're just going to roll it back and go for those 2 again and see if we can get to stage 3 for wartime economy and stage 2 for defense in depth. So let's go ahead and roll for that. Need a 7 or higher for both. The black die will be defense in depth. The yellow, wartime economy. Oh my goodness, we missed both by 1. Oh, man. All right, well, not off to a good start for technology here at the beginning of World War I. Gonna have to turn that around. We don't have any moves in Mexico, so I'm just gonna go ahead and do our recruitment roll. Remember, it's the fall-winter, and so land combat is limited to 1 round, and naval combat is limited to 2 rounds. So let's go ahead and roll for our recruitment. Need a 4 or less here. And another 6. Oh, that's not a good omen. 3 6s in a row. That might spell doom for the Germans here. At least maybe on just this turn, hopefully. Okay, let's go over to the board here and lay out our combat moves. So I'm going to send 2 infantry into Rhodesia. So we have 1 there in German East Africa, 1 in South African Union. We're going to try and take Rhodesia. That's worth 1 IPP. Other combat moves, we have a submarine here in the English Channel, and we're going to move him 3 spots down into A35, and we're going to convoy raid that British line there. It's worth noting that a French pre-dreadnought is located in that sea zone. However, he will not have the option to defend because he's not on escort duty. And the French don't have the technology yet to even go on escort duty. So that pre-dread, we can just basically slip right under his nose and do some convoy raiding, and there's not anything he can do about it. Okay, let's see here. Let's come over here to the Western Front. I don't have any markers for it, but I am going to send in everything that we have from Belgium into Picardy. And then I'm going to send in 1 infantry from Lorraine into Picardy, along with 2 fighters and an observation balloon and all the artillery that we have. So we're just pouring most of everything that we have into Picardy. I don't suspect that we're going to take Picardy, but at the very least, we need to try and do as much damage as possible before the British and the French just build their forces up over there. So In Picardy, the French do have a trench line, and so their infantry are going to defend at a 6. And so it's going to, combat's only going to last 1 round anyway, so whether we break the trench line or not, it's not really going to matter. So we're going to do that. And not last but not least, let's go over to Eastern Front. We're going to send everything that we have into Congress of Poland into Warsaw, try to take that. And then last but not least, we are going to attempt a naval assault against the British fleet here in A11. And that will include our entire fleet minus the naval transport, which will stay in port. And then our Zeppelin will also come out and join the battle as well. And he will attack at a 4 or less. Okay. So I've got most everything set up on the board here, at least for the big battles. And let's start out with the... let's actually start out here in Africa. So we've got 2 infantry. Our infantry coming from South African Union, he is going to have to endure a river crossing penalty. So he's going to be at a 1. That's a miss. And then the infantry coming from German East Africa will be at a 2. And that is a miss. All right, so we are guaranteed not to take Rhodesia, but he gets a defense. His colonial infantry gets a defense back at a 2. And that, he almost hit, but that's a miss. And we will just retreat our guys back to where they originally were. All right, so no harm, no foul down there. Let's go ahead and roll for the submarine that's going to be convoy rating. So submarines get +2 to their roll, and of course the British won't have any. The British won't have anything added to their roll. Oh, nice. Okay, so that's going to be 7-3. So we do 4 points of damage. All right. Let me get a 4 marker out. Put that on that line, and the British will have to account for that next turn. All right, let's see what else we got that we can do real quick here. Let's resolve the battle in Warsaw real quick. He's only got a militia there that's defending. He'll be defending at a 3. He gets a boost to his defense because Warsaw is not surrounded, so he'll get city defense bonus. We have 3 regular artillery first strikes, and those are going to be at a 4. And we do get a hit, so we wipe him out and we take Warsaw. So I'm going to get a roundel out for that. Okay. And Warsaw is worth 1 IPP. So we will move up 1 to 42, and then Russia will move down 1 to 15. Okay, now we can do the big battles. And let's see how we get on here. So we're going to start with the naval engagement. The entirety of the German fleet, well, most of all the German naval forces versus the British fleet. All right, so the Germans have a coastal sub. The British also have a coastal sub. Both are going to be at a 2. Oh, and the Germans get a hit. So they get a first strike hit. And the British will lose their coastal sub. Okay. Next up, the Germans have 3 units out of 4. There's 1 hit. And keep my tracker over here with this white die. We've got 1 cruiser out of 6. That's a hit. So there's 2. We have 4 pre-dreads out of 7. Wow, no hits. Oh, that hurts. Oh, man. I was counting on at least 1 hit there. And then 3 dreadnoughts at an 8. Only 1 hit. Oh, this does not bode well for the Germans. Man, our most powerful units underperformed big time. Okay. All right, so for the British, they have 5 torpedo boat destroyers out of 4. I'm going to count. That's cocked. I'm going to count that as a hit. So 2 hits for them. I'll use the green die here as the counter. 2 cruisers at a 6. Oh, 2 hits. Oh, no. No, 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 no. This is not good for the Germans. 2 pre-dreads at a 7. Wow, both misses. And then 2 dreadnoughts at an 8. And there's another hit. So it's 5 hits. Okay, well, the British definitely won that round. I mean, I would say barely. I mean, it was 5-4 because the Germans did get that first strike. All right, so let's allocate some hits here. And I'm definitely going to get some damage markers out because I have a feeling we're going to be using them. Okay. The Germans will take off a coastal sub. So they're down to 4. And then they're going to damage 3 of their dreadnoughts. And then we'll take off a torpedo boat destroyer. All right. I'm just going to put damage markers here on these dreadnoughts. All right. Now for the British, they've got to count for 3 hits. They're going to damage 2 of their dreadnoughts. And then we will lose a torpedo boat destroyer. All right, on to round 2, and this is the final round. All right, the Germans have 2 at a 4. There's a hit. 1 at a 6. There's a hit. And then we've got 7 at a 7. And there's 1, 2, 3 hits. All right, that's a little bit better than last turn. So that's a total of 5 hits. All right, for the British, they have 4 torpedo boat destroyers at a 4. There's 1 hit. 2 cruisers at a 6. There's another hit. 2 pre-dreads at a 7. Ooh, 2 hits. Oh, man. There's 4. And then 2 damaged dreadnoughts at a 7. Both misses. Wow. Okay. Well, I'd say all in all, that was a pretty even fight. Okay. So the Germans have to account for 4 losses. We're going to take a torpedo boat destroyer. We're also going to lose our Zeppelin. We're going to lose a cruiser and a pre-dread. Okay. That's it for the Germans. And then the British have to lose 5. Oh, man. Let's lose a cruiser and all of our torpedo boat destroyers. I'm just going to take off the cheapest units, the ones that are more easily replaced. Okay. I am going to... So that's the end of the battle. The Germans will retreat back into port. And I imagine on the British turn, they're going to retreat back to a port to get their dreadnoughts repaired. And I'm just going to get these unit cards back on the board. Okay. I would say that the first major naval engagement was pretty much a draw. All right. Both sides lost 1 cruiser, and so neither side will get a free diplomacy roll. Okay. Well, actually, I take that back. The British will get a free diplomacy roll in their turn because they actually sunk a cruiser and a pre-dread. So they sunk 1 more of those ships than the Germans sunk of the British. So the British only lost 1 cruiser, and the Germans lost a cruiser and a pre-dread. So I'm going to mark for a free diplomacy roll for the British on their turn coming up. Okay. Now we get to do the land battle into Picardy. Okay. Let's get all this sorted out here. So we've got a couple of fighters, and they are gonna do dog fighting with the British fighter. All the fighters are gonna be at 2. The French infantry are gonna be at a 6 because they have a trench line. The cavalry will be at a 2. So there's a British cavalry, there's 2 French cavalry, they'll all be defending at a 2. And then the British artillery will get a first strike at a 4. I'm gonna make sure there's no terrain modifiers here. No, there's no terrain modifiers. Okay. The observation balloon will boost up a heavy artillery to a 7. The Germans will have 5 regular artillery at a 4. And then they will have, let's see, that's 5, 6, 7. 7 infantry will be boosted to a 3. Oh, no, wait. I take that back. So all the artillery is going to go in from Lorraine. All but 6 of the infantry from Lorraine will go into Picardy. And that will give us a total of 6 infantry. And they, along with the 1 cavalry that we have, will get boosted. So all of the infantry get boosted to a 3. The cavalry gets boosted to a 4. And we also have an additional 4 artillery. And additional 4 artillery. And they will be at a first strike at a 4. All right, let's see how much damage we can do here. So we have the fighters first. 2 German fighters at a 2, 1 British fighter at a 2. And there are no hits. Okay. All right, so we continue on with the first strikes. We have 1 British artillery at a 4 first strike, And then the Germans have a buttload of artillery. Let's see here. There's 3, 4, 5. That's 9. 9 at a 4. And let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4 hits. Wow. Okay. All right, so 4 hits. The British artillery missed. And then we have 1 heavy artillery at a 6. That's a miss. And then we have a heavy artillery at a 7. And that's a hit. So there's 5 hits. Okay. Now we get to roll for the infantry. So we have, let's see, that's 3, 4, 5, 6 infantry at a 3. There's a hit. Oh, we got to, let's account for the 5 that first strikes. So they'll lose the British artillery. Let's lose the 4 more. Yeah, we're going to have to lose all the cavalry. The British cavalry goes off, along with the 2 French cavalry and the British fighter. Okay, so that resets that back to 1, and we still have 1 hit to account for. We have German cavalry at a 4, and that's a miss. Okay, so only 1 more hit is done by the Germans. And now we have all of these French infantry, 5, 6, 7. 7 at a 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. Oh, man. All right, so we're going to go ahead and lose the 1 French infantry. And not that it matters, but they will maintain their trench line. At least, not that it matters for this particular attack. Okay. 5 hits for the French. So the Germans, they're going to lose a cavalry. I want to maintain the infantry because we would have a trench line. So we're going to have to lose some artillery. I was reading the rules, and it says in the rule book that you can't take observation balloons as casualties unless if it's during dogfighting. So that kind of sucks. We can't lose our balloon. So we're going to have to keep that. Let's lose both of our fighters. We can replace them. They only cost, they only cost $3. Lose both of our fighters. And then we'll lose 2 artillery. So we lose a cavalry, 2 fighters, and 2 artillery. Okay, 3. All right, and that will end that battle. The French will retain Picardy. So I'm going to go ahead and put them back on the board. And let's see, the Germans. Let's see here. We have to retreat. So Actually, let's send back 2 infantry into Lorraine. That will give us a total of 8. Let's send back the 2 heavy artillery along with the balloon. And we're going to send back 4 regular artillery. Okay, I'm going to get those back on the board, and then everything else will go back into Belgium. Okay. Let's come back to the board here. All right, so let's review what the Germans have here in Lorraine and Belgium. All right, so in Lorraine, they have 8 infantry, 4 artillery, 2 heavy artillery, an observation balloon. In Belgium, they have 4 infantry, 3 artillery. Okay. So now let's go over to non-combat movement. And everything that we have is going to be here in Europe. All right, we're going to take 3 infantry from Western Germany. They are going to go into Belgium. So that's going to give us 7 total. All right. A seaplane that's on map here in A12, he'll come off map and go back into Western Germany. 2 infantry in Eastern Germany will go into East Prussia, bringing the total to 5. Okay. I think that does it. Of course, the German fleet that came out to attack in A11 is now back in port there in Western Germany. Okay. Now, all that's sorted out. Let's go and place down some units. So I will keep the camera here. 2 submarines will be manufactured in Western Germany, and they will join the fleet there in port in A11. Our medium factory in Bavaria will get upgraded to a major. That will take a manpower slot, by the way. 1 minor factory will go down into South African Union. A colonial will go down into South African Union, as well as German East Africa. Okay. 1 Jaeger infantry is going to go into Bavaria. Along with an infantry. We can only place 2 there because the factory upgrade will take a manpower slot. That leaves us with 4 infantry. Let's see. 2 infantry will go into Western Germany. One infantry will go into Eastern Germany. And the final infantry will go into East Prussia. And that will give us 6 infantry there. And it will give us a trench line. All right, and I'll mark all that up off camera and get that all sorted out. I got a lot of cleanup to do off camera. Okay, oh, we forgot to move this torpedo boat destroyer. We have a torpedo boat destroyer here in M5, and he is going to go 1, 2, and go in port and join the Ottoman fleet in Constantinople. Give him some help over there. Okay. I think that's it. All right, let's collect some income. So we spent every dollar that we had, and we will collect 42 as a base, and then let's see what extra income that we get. All right, the major shipyard in Western Germany is not blockaded. I guess technically it is, because there are at least 3 British warships that are there, so we don't get anything for that. That would be worth plus 2 IPP. Sweden and Norway are neutral or central powers aligned. They are, so we get an extra IPP for that. And Germany can trace the railway supply path to southern Iraq. We still can't do that. So we only get 1 bonus IPP this turn. And then let's see what we get for trade. So we are trading with Chile, Argentina, and Persia. So we get extra 3 there. So we'll get a bonus of plus 4. And so that will push us up to 46. So we will collect 46 bucks and have 46 for next turn. Up next will be the British. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, take it easy. Bye for now.